Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and another big scoop review of the One Piece chapter 1127, titled Adventure in the Land of Mystery.
We got some big news coming this chapter, big news.
And yes, guys, he is back. I'm also here with Knack Reacts. What's up, bro?
Hi, man. Not happy to be back. Happy to talk some One Piece. This chapter has got me spinning. It's a good thing we got a break week this week because I wouldn't have been able to process everything in a matter of 5 days, 6 days.
Yeah, we decided to extend another week because we had a lot of different ideas, but we were very conflicted. And we said, you know what? Before we do our official, real talk of what we're sure of what happened in this chapter, we said, you know what? Let's give it a week since it's a break week, and that's why we're here, guys. And I'll start off by telling you about the cover story. As I said in the previous video, that we'll most likely do a whole review, a whole video just on the cover stories of of this of the Yamato stories, but adventures. But there was something that caught my eye, and as we know, we've been following this cover story, where it seems that Yamato is the only one caught on to some sort of mystery of women disappearing in Wano. There was something that caught my eyes. Well, first of all, the fact that Yamato seems to be way smaller than Unurawashi.
Yeah.
Sorry, I always butcher his name. But there's nothing that I also find very interesting is they're the only two characters who have the theme of the dog. And for people who know, dog is an important theme in One Piece, which people correlate to loyalty. We also correlate dogs to also people that connect to freedom, to some extent. A lot of characters who have that, who fight for freedom. We
That's
had that
correct.
in Alabasta with Shaka being the guardian deity of Alabasta at the same time, but being a jackal, a sacred dog for Asian lore. Then you also have Garp, and you have much more of those, stuff like that, stuff like that. But what's interesting is that why? What is the meaning of this? Like, the dogs now have caught the scent, which would be a fun, fun symbolism. But I find it very interesting that now they're showing one extra person and follows the same theme, which was interesting because I think a couple of cover story before they went to see Nikomonomushi, or I keep butchering their names. So their names are so
Nekomamushi.
different. They're so different, difficult those names. I don't I just he who's the cat is completely blind to it, which is interesting because curiosity killed the cat. So makes sense now why he's not realizing it. He might have been unalive. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so it's quite interesting, and I do feel like there is something, and I find it very interesting that it's both the dog character, the people or female symbolizes as dogs, and for people who forget, Yamato's mythical Zoan is a dog, and Inurashi is a dog mink. So, but yeah, there's another one that you made me think of, especially with Yamato having Odin's will. The fact that if you look at Enma, when Odin holds it, and Zoro holding Enma, something's off with the proportion of Enma as well.
That's correct.
Enma,
Yes. People always complain
Enma's
about that one.
yeah, it's a normal size sword for both of them, which is interesting because literally, Odin is twice the size, minimum at least twice the size of Zoro, which is crazy to think that Enma is the same length each time. But yeah,
Yeah,
let's
it's
get into
really
the chapter, man.
interesting. Yeah, let's go. So, right off the hop, we got some interesting stuff going on. This is our first look. It seems like it's been a while. It's just because me and Kube have been going through this chapter so much. But this is actually the first look at where we're to on Elbaf. And I say that very suspiciously because I do think we're somewhere on Elbaf. I do not think we're on the mainland of Elbaf. I think we're well, we can talk more about it, but I basically think we're on one of the branches of the Atom Tree. And this is the reference here is going to be to the World Tree or Yggdrasil and the Nine Realms. But that's we can get into that. But we see some funny stuff happening. So there's some animals falling from the sky. Some reports of a sun god roaming about. Talks of worship, and then we get the intro to Big Stein Castle. Now, when I first seen this, I thought it was 2 words, but I was corrected by our captain there, Lucas, who pointed out it's actually 1 word. It's Big Stein Castle, not Big Steen Castle. I don't know if that's important or not, but as we get into that, we get our first person shot of Nami. And yeah, things aren't all what they seem here in this world, Q. Looks like we're in Legoland, 100%.
Actually, I liked for people. I'm sorry. I'm gonna call Legoland in Elbaf right now in that region. I'm calling it Legoheim until we get a real name for it because.
Yeah, no,
But there's
it's distinct now. Last chapter we all had hints about it. We are all like, oh no, there's no way. But no, every bit of this island. And before we go too far into the castle, not just every bit of everything we see, but also where we see these giants, and I say that as quotation marks again as well. They seem to be the same proportion as Nami sitting on that Lego floor. So instantly, I'm thinking we're not actually looking at giants, but there's always this what should I say? This urge to think outside the box when reading One Piece, because you never want to just believe what you see or assume anything. But yeah, it's the proportions look very much like they're normal sized people on this island.
I would go even further than that. I do believe that I've been talking. I don't know if the last video, the last review of 1126, I talked about this, but I've been talking with you on VC on Discord. So for people who have been hearing me spit on it, I do feel like we're getting a reversal to Little Garden, especially
right.
like the location is called Big Stein, regardless if it's one word or two words. There's a term big in it. Little Garden was called Little, but everything was massive, which would make sense that in this area, everything is supposed to be giant size, but maybe like everything is human size. It's like a human section. And I won't lie, I think we are getting the trope of what is the purpose of the sun god in this story for Luffy, or why the Doribagi came, because it does seem that the way they talk about the sun god is that it's a ruler in the land. They're
Right.
not referring to Luffy.
No, exactly. And I love I love that you mentioned that right now, and I don't mean to take you off course with your Little Garden theory, but we can get into how they seem to be following a false prophet, and that's a common trope not only in storytelling but in history, that a group of people could be split up by the new, what would you say, the new worship of a deity, and then another group sticking to the traditional.
Which,
Yeah, it's fantastic point.
The point I was going to bring up is, and I've been saying this. If you look back in some of the stuff saying about the giants, like we know during Brogy have been fighting for 100 years, so it makes sense that while they were gone, someone was parading as a sun god, most likely Loki or someone else, someone connected to Loki. And what's interesting is it would explain why in Enies Lobby, Omoe and Kachi, right, both giants who respect ritual and the fighting and duels of the people of Elbath, of the giants of Elbath, did refer that they were looking for their captains almost 100 years ago for some reason. And if you look back at the Garden flashback, they said goodbye to their crew members when they both left. Everyone knew why they were leaving. They just didn't know where they were going. So I'm wondering if that was that moment in his lobby, the reasoning that they never explained why they were looking for their captains, why they were breaking protocols, might be connected to this storyline. Which is, again, another Oda masterclass if that's his first breadcrumb, because and his lobby was chapter 309 is 350 to 410.
I love where your head's at though with it.
1127, which is crazy.
I would just like to add, like, that would also be, we've seen other countries ripped apart by taking or removing the most powerful individuals from that country for a set amount of time for people to take over. Specifically Wano, as Odin was off on his journey, it was easier for Higurashi to make her plan and act. So I'm wondering now if there wasn't something similar to that, and these, prominent giants of the giant warrior pirates were all sent off on purpose.
There's even more than one if you think about it. There's even a recent one. Remember Leloucia?
Right.
The revolutionaries, the people who revolted in Leloucia, took advantage while the king was coming back from the reverie. It was during the king was in transit, and when he came, he got captured.
No, I get you. Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Like even recently Leloucia. So yeah, twice with Wano and now with Leloucia, so which is interesting. Which Wano literally was destroyed after 20 years, and Leloucia was forgotten. I don't even know how I still remember Lucia. I might get wiped out pretty soon, so we're gonna change quickly the discussion because I'm scared for my life.
Back into the chapter
But
though, Nami finds some pretty surprising stuff when she wakes up. And it's similar actually to Little Garden. It gave me similar vibes, but it's not dinosaurs this time, it's just animals. And we heard about the animals of Elbaf and the monsters of Elbaf, so it does seem like we are on Elbaf, full disclaimer, but it doesn't seem like we're on Elbaf, full disclaimer.
yeah, there is yeah. Yeah, no, you know what? I'm gonna keep that thought for the next two after the next two panels, and there's something I was gonna say, but I'll keep it after we see those panels. But yeah,
Well,
and there is something that's interesting that I see with Nami is she's more emotional than she usually is.
right, and we get a lot of close-up shots of Nami's face in this chapter. We actually get I counted 4 originally. I could be off. Now I'm thinking there's a lot more. We see her crying, we see her screaming, we see her surprised. It's a lot of personal shots. It actually leads into an idea I have about all this. But the panel right after that is when we see Usopp come into the play for the first time.
Yep. And that's quite an interesting one if you think about it, because okay, so you know what? Since we see Usopp with that big cat, this is what I'm gonna say. Even though it does seem that the giants seems to be more human, right? What's interesting is even though the blocks seems to be the same size for Nami as for the humans, they were talking about stinger moles, which are bees, right? But if you look at the
Right.
bees, they look just like normal bees for them, right? Not massive. It could be also in perspective on how we see the angle, so it could be the same size. But if you look at Nami, they're massive, right?
Oh, that's a
And
fair
that cat,
point.
and the cat looks like the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland. And you know how Oda loves his fables. And literally, Elbaf backwards means fable.
No, you
And
got
they refer that
that's
as the
great.
Lord the Sun God as a fable, the fable of the Sun God, when Vegapunk made his message.
We
Last arc, just for my point, last arc, Egghead had the introduction of with the Wizard of Oz, the way Bonnie arrived, and some of the stuff like the boots that they can control, which click your boots 3 times and you'll go back home. We're not in Kansas anymore.
yeah,
This makes me think of what if the Straw Hats who are in the castle are much smaller than the people who are outside the castle. Like in Alice in Wonderland, Alice had to drink that potion, which is interesting because just before they got lost, what did they do? They drank from the Green Fairy. So that makes you think of what if in the castle they're much smaller than people outside of the castle.
interesting. I like where your head's at.
Because yeah,
Well, last time we got together and we had a chat like this on and recorded it, you mentioned a comic book called Obelisk and I can't even pronounce
Asterix and
it.
Obelisk.
Asterix and Obelisk. And as we see Usopp here, he looks just like one of the characters you shared with us.
Yeah, Obelisk's pants.
It's
He's got the same
interesting.
pants as Obelisk.
And he has a beard. I know nobody's
Yeah.
really mentioned this. Like, why?
Why and how did it grow this fast in 2 days? I never seen someone grow beard this fast in 2 days. It's even faster than Kobe's growth in a few months.
Well, it reminds me of dress up, like a game, or like honestly, like a video game. Like you choose your outfit, you customize your character, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
As
this
well as
cat
not.
as well. Like you touched on Alice in Wonderland, and you can actually dig into that a bit more. But this cat reminds me of the crab we seen in Alabasta with the same smirk and smile.
Yeah. Which fun fact for people who've seen Alice in Wonderland, if you look at the Cheshire Cat's smile, it is very similar to the last smile that Roger did at his execution.
Interesting.
For anyone looking back, and you'll see it is almost the same effect, animation effect, as the smile, which obviously. But yeah, and obviously, yeah, she's releasing Zeus. I think, obviously, for those who read this chapter, we know that Chopper isn't here yet. I think we might have the reason, why Chopper isn't here, because as we know, Chopper, and this was his time skip adventure, being basically the translator. It does seem that the animals, we didn't see for Usopp, but for the Nami end, it does seem that the animals aren't attacking out of nowhere. It seems that they're reacting to Nami, which I'm wondering if this is why Chopper hasn't appeared in this chapter yet, because maybe he would just tell them, guys, it's a misunderstanding. You are in their territory. There's the procedures. They want you to bow, or the cat's babies, or you are in the babies are nearby, and they're trying to sleep, and you're waking them up.
Right. Right.
You know?
Chopper's not here because none of this conflict could happen if Chopper was here. He would be helping both sides understand what's going on. And I like that. You brought back the Torino Kingdom because, as we know, Torino Kingdom was an island that looks very similar to the drawings of the World Tree or Yggdrasil you'd find around like through times. And it invokes a lot of the same themes here. We have a race of people that potentially are in trouble, and we have a lot of animals that are being aggressive. Like we know this cat is aggressive. The hedgehog seems not that it is straight up aggressive. It shows up kind of cute at the beginning, but then it freaks out. With Chopper also like learned a lot about technology and medicine, ancient technology and medicine from that kingdom. So I'm hoping we get something similar to that.
Yeah, I can see that. I won't lie. The logo, the symbol on the cat's, I'm gonna call it the Cheshire cat until we get a better name for it. But on the cat's crown, first of all, people have on X and all social platform, One Piece related in the community, have been making connection between the crown looking very similar to Loki's crown in the silhouette.
Right,
What's
yeah.
interesting is that I've said to people, I'm not interested in how the dots look similar to the world government dots on the side.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is it does look like some form like a mirror.
There's an
If you
interesting
look at it.
symbol on it because if we go back a few panels now, but there's a flag that's been flown, and it has a symbol that is on that crown. Actually, it's not before. It's coming up as you see the tower fall. There's a flag on that tower that the cat has destroyed. It's the same symbol on that flag as on this crown. It makes me think that this cat is actually of importance here. I won't go as far as say it's Loki, and I haven't mentioned this to you yet, but like I just noticed the other day how there definitely is some significance to this cat and this building because there's multiple flags here that have the crown. Again, in the last panel of the chapter. Now, I'm not trying to jump ahead too far, but another flag with the same symbol as on the crown. But yeah, we get into some shenanigans. We have Usopp getting absolutely mauled. Nami takes a fall, zaps the cat, and we get this just runaway moment where Usopp once again tries to be brave. He thinks about the last time they were on the boat and they were told it could hallucinate from the Green Fairy. And I think we all had the idea that maybe Nami hallucinated last chapter. Where do you stand on that exactly again? Well, we can get into that now if you like, because we don't have too much left of the chapter.
Well, for me, as obviously I said this, there is something off about it. We haven't reached that point, but I'll already talk about it. It's Luffy is in his base form with the Nika smile, where we can't see his eyes throughout the whole chapter. Calls out for Gear 4, but uses a Gear 3 technique, which for me is obviously we differ in if it's Nami's illusion or not. But I'm pretty sure, and again, I'm talking about the little garden thing. The only person who got affected by Miss Golden Week, who became not himself during the fight, was Luffy. I'm wondering if in this situation, this isn't even Luffy. And if you look at the panel when Zoro first arrives with Luffy, Zoro looks at Luffy the same way that he looks at Lilith the first time he sees an egghead. When he's on guard, when there's something off, but he can't put his finger on it.
Yeah. No,
and relax next.
I know we haven't got to it yet, but I'm ready to jump right to it because we don't We touched on a lot of the things I think we were supposed to look at throughout this chapter. But back to the perspective thing again. This is the issue that people are having, and before we get into illusions with the chapter, like this is why it's so hard to tell where we're to. We know of the Atom Tree in Elbaf. We never talked about this much, but we've never seen the top of the tree, and seeing the top of the tree in this last panel tells me they're not looking at the Atom Tree, but a branch or another. Unfortunately, it could possibly be another tree, and that's the main thing. I think we should focus. Not the main thing we should focus on, but something we should take into account is the perspective of the sizing of everything here. We know Elbaf is said to have giant creatures, monsters, stuff we can't explain, but we also know the Nine Realms has a realm of dwarves, has a realm of mischief, has a realm of ice giants, has the realm of, humans and the enlightened. And I wouldn't be surprised if this Legoland is a separate entire culture from Elbaf itself, and they have no relation to the giants we know and love.
Yeah, I would agree on that. And there is something else that's quite interesting. First of all, when you think about it, in the land that is for giants, Elbaf, would it
Hmm.
make sense in their their mindset that the difference between a human, a buccaneer, and a dwarf wouldn't be that much different for them?
100%. That's what I mean. And this is
Yeah, that's
Oda's gonna play around with this because Oda knows his stuff. He knows about the ancient knowledge. He knows about myths. He knows about legends, and he incorporates it all into these stories. So keep an eye out. There's gonna be trickery. And with that being said, we can kind of get into the whole illusionary take. The list of discrepancies in this chapter have been unreal.
Yeah.
We can start off with Nami's discrepancies. She's changed clothes. She's lost her sword. She's gained her sword. She's lost her sword again. We've seen 1, 2. I'm counting them right now. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Just
8. No, not 10 first-person shots of Nami's reaction to different events in this chapter.
And there's
But
also something else that I caught
what's
that's
that?
interesting, and I haven't spoke to you about it, but I'm big on the whole Mario inspiration in One Piece.
Yeah.
Super Mario, Mamma Mia. Sorry, but I had to do it. If look at the panel when she first takes out Zeus when he comes out before he's released, attacking that the small guinea pig or
Yep.
what animal it is.
Yep.
Does it look like the rocket in the Super Mario world? Our ascent from the thing. I just saw it when we were talking.
Yeah, a
You know those
little bit.
rockets that you have to
The
that you have to jump
bullet.
over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the faces, the smile, and coming out the way it is just instead of being like pointy, it's round, it's flat,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting because I'm not sure, but Zeus and the way it is so dark and black this way, it does. It gave me. It's a weird vibe because we never really got that from Zeus, which makes me think of there's that you are right on something about this illusion because there's nothing off of even how her attack comes out.
Right. Yeah, and like there's something going on here, and like me and Cube, we've discussed this through and through, and like so early in the chapter it's kind of hard to put our foot down on anything. So we kind of just, we have our own idea, and we're thinking about giving them both out here to you today. So my idea is that Nami is the one going through these illusions, and in fact, Usopp, Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy aren't there and are all part of her illusion. And the evidence I claim to have for this is the screens where it goes black. In particular, the one where she falls out of the massive tower in a drop that looks like it should be fatal. In a dream, I think we can all relate to this. If you have a big fall, a long fall, or a trip even, you don't see yourself hit the ground, and if you don't wake up immediately, you'll basically continue your dream from the ground point. That's exactly what this scene reminded me of here. We see the fall, we see the screen go black, we see wood, and then Nami and Usopp are just on the ground. It's led me to think of it this all as illusion. But you can because that's the only thing that makes me think it's Nami. Everything else about the illusion is actually falls in line with what Kube got to say. So I'll let you talk on what's going on with our boy.
Yeah, so there is something before we get into that, and is something that we've been talking, which I agree on him. With Nak and I have been talking about a possible rift between Nami and Usopp, and the reason why I say that is
Right.
if you look at everything that everyone have said of the Straw Hats, so the 5 ones, for those who are wondering, we looked back, Chopper is clearly not on the ship, so it's a big indication that Chopper is with them, just they haven't found him yet. But then again, it might happen that they'll find him somewhere on the ship just hiding, But Chopper's a horrible player of hide and seek, so if he's hiding, they shouldn't have difficulty finding him. But if you look at it, what Sanji and Zoro and Luffy says, well, for Luffy is not out of pocket. Sanji and Zoro is kind of weird. It feels like their thoughts are outside. And if people know a lot about Nami and Usopp, they tend to have a lot of insecurities, but they never say it out loud. They have inner monologues. If you look at what Nami and Usopp say, they're saying everything out loud. Even stuff that best example is in Wano when they had that whole moment of ulti with Nami. Both
Hmm.
Usopp and Nami were having their insecurities out in the open, but no one can hear it because they were thinking about it, not saying out loud. So it does feel like there is something off happening to their mind in this place. Like maybe they just everything they think about just comes out.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because it's not like I think it like because there's so much happening right now. Like the thing I just said about Nami, that's just an idea I'm floating out there. At the end of the day, this could all actually be happening, and there could be no illusion on the go, and we're gonna get an explanation for all the weird behavior. But what's happening here between Nami and Usopp is really, really serious because I think Nami might not take it personal, the fact that Usopp couldn't protect her in this situation, but Usopp is going to take that personal. And there's going to be something he actually, I think, I can see moments where he's thinking back on this and how all he was a shield and he was the last option she called out for, and even then she had to save him. Like, this is going to eat him up, and we all know it's his arc. He's going to get his level up, and yeah, I honestly think this is the groundwork for it. Like, come the end of the
Yeah,
arc, Nami will be calling out to Usopp to save her, not in jest, not in a joke, not as like the last option, but because she thinks Usopp's the one that can save her.
exactly. And I would also add to this is I think you're right on this that this might be possible like one of the minor storylines for Usopp and Nami because even though Usopp will take a lot has that insecurity of him and he will try to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Something people don't know much about don't realize of Nami is Nami usually is the empathy for everyone else. Like she's the moral support.
That's right.
She's the one who took care of Sanji in Whole Cake, with that look when he came back, showing that she disapproved of disrespect towards the captain. And even if the captain reaccepts you, you'll have to work very hard to be in my good grace for disrespecting Luffy and the crew. But if you remember in Whole Cake, after she found out what went down, like his family, how they really were, she cried and felt bad for Sanji and apologized to him. Another point as well is in Egghead. The moment Robin told them who Saturn was and his role in O'Hara, Nami was the one who told everyone to protect Robin. And afterwards, if you think about with Rob Lucci as well, before it happened before that, when she crossed past Rob Lucci, who was locked up after the first time they defeated Kaku and Rob Lucci, thanks to Stussy, Robin went next to Rob Lucci and kicked him, and said, this is for Robin." Nami is never the person that causes pain among the crews, for the pain in their heart. I think Usopp lashing out and then telling and being upset of how Nami talks to him, realizing that what she said, if she did it in purpose or not, if it's their inner thought just being outside. I think this also might be a minor arc for her to realize I can't also be standing on people's behind all the time. And because she doesn't like to be that, she likes to be the moral compass. the heart for the people, but not the one who creates heartache. I think this also might be an arc where Nami starts to realize that just like Usopp, she could stop being a coward. I'll be honest with you. I think this part of the story, since we didn't see Chopper yet, this could be the arc where this could be part of the story where Chopper, Nami, and Usopp start changing their trio from the coward trio to the spontaneous trio or some other names. Because actually that could make sense actually, because they are two of the three cowards that people dub them as the coward trio. So
Yeah, you're not wrong. I would love to see some more accountability put on Nami in that role, because she has capabilities too. She's a
yeah,
lot like Usopp in a sense that she doesn't give herself enough credit for what she can do. Yeah, no, that's a lovely place to leave it with Nami, because you're spot on, man. The two of them, they got lots of great traits, but there's certain things that they haven't leveled up on in a long time. They haven't improved in a long time, so it'll be nice to see. And yeah, aside from that though, like, I definitely think there's some funny business going on here. Just to point out a couple things, like, I noticed that I didn't see many people notice, is Zoro's swords actually like change the direction that they are in his mouth.
Yeah.
From one panel to the next. Luffy, of course. I think everybody's seen the panels of Luffy now. Luffy has had an axe and a sword interchanged. He's got a very distinct smile going on. We see no eyeballs. We don't know what his eyes look like at all yet. And he's using a gear 3rd attack, but screaming gear 4th. Gear 4. But he's not in gear 4. Gear 4 is an actual transformation. We all know that. So
Yeah.
Some funny business going on here.
With the gear 5 smile, which is weird because that big smile while fighting was only in gear 5, and gear 4 is always serious tone. So, and there's something that I just caught, and it just might be, but I'm looking at it, but it does seem that the moment that Zoro looks at Luffy, when they're all talking, all three of them, Zoro's looking at the direction of the others, he's looking at the other direction. He's not looking at the direction of Sanji, Usopp, and Nami, or Luffy. He's looking at the opposite direction. Basically, if you look at him, he's face to Luffy, so his eye that is closed, that has the scar, is basically on the side where there's no one. But and if you look at the other eye, it's looking that direction. It's tilting his head towards the eye that has a scar.
Mm-hmm.
So it does seem that even he is not even looking at them. Which, if everyone knows about Zoro, a lot of the like old lores about respect, discipline, ritual, you know what I mean? Like similar how Kaido was unaliving Higurashi for disrupting a fair duel. It's all about honor. So the fact that he's not even looking at them makes you feel like he doesn't know what's up, but he feels like something's strange around here. So he's looking around, and Zoro's always on guard. If Robin is not on guard, Zoro's on guard.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But yeah.
No, there's something going on here.
Yeah. Is it just me, or does he look like he's not even looking at them?
No, he's not paying any attention to the other crewmates.
Yeah, he's looking the opposite direction.
And he's focused on Luffy.
Yeah. And also, the one thing you and I talked that's weird is Sanji and Luffy. Zoro is different because Zoro is mostly focused when there's stuff happening. But when Sanji and Luffy arrive and see that something is happening to, even if there's a fight, they'll always ask if you're okay. They arrived while Usopp is knocked out and bleeding. And they haven't even acknowledged him. Which I find it very odd because Nami makes sense. But they just arrived and they saw just Usopp already knocked out. Why aren't they acknowledging him? So Sanji could make sense to some extent because but Luffy would never. If he sees Usopp, which we all know, Zoro might be his right-hand man. Nami might be the person that he trusts the most, in which he lets her delegate the most on the ship. But Usopp is his best friend. He's the guy that they have all the shenanigans together. Do you think that Luffy, who is willing to go to war for Wano, for Momo, who he's just knew for a couple of months, or for Vivi, that he's only known for a couple of weeks, that he wouldn't look at Usopp and say, "What happened to you?" No acknowledgement for Luffy, which again makes me think that this is not Luffy.
Very strange. And what's this? Who do you think it was that said "not again" in that last panel?
Wait, let me look back at the panel.
The last page. It's not the last panel. It's right above the last panel, but there's no characters in panel, so we just gotta guess.
I think it's Usopp, because look, I'm alive. That's what Usopp says. I'm alive, and I'm going to remember that you used me as a shield. Goof. But if you look at the shield, there's 3 points, and then it says not again, 3 points. So it could be Usopp. And
Yeah,
I am going to remember that you used me as a shield. And then he says not again. Which this tells me as well. I've been saying it for people who haven't heard me on the Eternal Dawn, or before previously our previous channel, the last arc, when I talked about that. I'm one of the. I mean, I don't know if I'm one of the few people, but I'm one of the proud people who don't believe of Usopp's flashback. Fun fact, for the reminder for everyone who's listening: the Shaw's flashback always have different stuff, but always similar. 2 to the 3 same themes. A dream, someone who inspired them, and then living through something that is sad, that could deter them from their dreams, but they keep forward, and usually connects to one person's death. The one person who has the least of this is Jinbei, but because we got a flashback with Fisher Tiger, and there is some of those components. There's not the dream aspect of it, just an expression of removing the racism in the fishmen, and of the rest of the world, and persecution against the fishmen. But you have all those themes. But if you look at, even Zoro has those themes. Yamato, who is an unofficial, is an unofficial member, meaning that Luffy did give the stamp of approval, but Yamato is not with them. So until then, even Vivi in her flashback has it. If you look at Usopp, he has none of those, for those who remember it. And it's the only flashback that is told from someone, Mary, who started by saying, "I don't know much about Usopp, just that he makes Kaya happy. But I do remember what people said about his life," and then tells his flashback. We got his flashback from an unreliable source. And I'm wondering if I've said, what if, and it was revealed thanks to Will of Dreams, a great affiliate in our Discord, who brought out a panel in ASL where Blue Jam talks about, which seems to foreshadow Roger and Laughtale, where he says, when people are at their lowest point in life, they'll just stand still and start laughing.
right.
Humans are very weird, don't you think? That was a quote. Which, think of Roger and Laughtale all standing still and just laughing, maybe their lowest point, and they can only just laugh. Makes you think of the flamingo. The more he kept losing in Dressrosa, the harder he kept laughing. Which makes us think of the Joker and with the Batman. Usopp has this habit of still lying, yet he has no reason to lie about, because he is doing things. But he is still this insecurity of not being good enough. I'm wondering if this is hitting close to home. Like, we'll see the real flashback of Usopp, that he might have maybe among the Straw Hats, among the strongest, the darkest one. Like, people don't forget about this. Chopper has a very, very dark flashback. As bad as, I would say, as bad as Law and Robin, to the point that because of his age,
Oh, it's absolutely
of what he
tragic.
does.
Yeah, what he
It's a
goes
tragic
through.
one.
He gets abandoned by
Just
both groups of people he tried to become friends with.
Yeah, and if you think about it, obviously Law and Robin have their flashback hits more Brooke because the impact it has, obviously, and the length of it. It's just Chopper was very lucky to meet the Straw Hats much early on, but he's also with Usopp among the Straw Hats who smiles the most. And we've seen with Luffy, who smiled all the time, is that he had a very harsh life, and even lost his brother in a harsh way. Well, at the time he thought he lost him, but still was able to smile all the time.
Right.
So it kind of makes me think of, we might be getting some lore of Usopp definitely this arc. understanding him a bit more. Like, why is he keep? Because people know that people who lie as much as Usopp, it's a mechanism to protect himself.
That's
It's
right.
not. He's not a born liar. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely correct, man. And yeah, that's basically where we're at with this chapter. A lot of funny business going on. A lot of strange inconsistencies. A lot of cool Viking themes. A lot of fun Norse mythology connections. Elbaf seems to be rolling up to be one of those arcs where another top of the top. Anything else you want to point out throughout the chapter that you thought was interesting?
Yeah, I just have one last thing to point out that I caught when we were just talking about it. That's why I like to reread many times the chapters, especially the Viz version, because it does give a lot of context. I found very interesting from all the Straw Hats. I had to look back at Usopp, but I'm pretty sure Luffy is the only one that has the new giant helmet on his
What's the
head.
new giant helmet? Is there a
The
difference?
the yeah. So basically, you've got the one of Usopp that is like two horns
Mm-hmm.
that goes up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the one of the New Giants pirates helmet, it looks instead it's like horns that go like a horse's horns, an Oni horn.
Hmm. Interesting. I didn't know. I'll take notice of that now going forward of the style of
You
horns.
have to look you have to look at the the new giant pirates the Giants warrior pirates during Bargain's crew. Look at their Jolly Roger, which
Yeah,
is weird because
absolutely.
they have no horns, but it's a Oni horn. That's in their logo, similar to the one of you see in Onigashima as well. But Usopp
Cool.
has an interesting one. He has more of a straight one
Yeah, it
than the
is
one of
very
Luffy.
different, isn't it?
Yeah,
Awesome.
and one is black, one is white, and as we know, black for betrayal. Corazon had a black cloak.
Ooh.
Robin, until when she left, was wearing black, and then suddenly afterwards, with the time skip, she uses every colors in black. Sanji wore black for a very long time until when it seemed to have changed since Whole Cake.
That's so interesting. Well
Yeah,
done.
and Miss Golden Week refer to those, different emotion stance, So it kind of makes you think of, yeah, what if the one you can't trust is Luffy? Which is crazy to think about this, starting an arc where you can't trust Luffy.
Their outfits look great too. Absolutely great.
Yeah,
No, I mean,
I did like the point you brought up of what you said about Zoro looking similar to X Drake's outfit.
similar, yeah, similar. Yeah. They're all unique in their own way for sure, but yeah, I definitely like Luffy's costume the most so far.
But yeah, no, honestly, it's a very interesting chapter. I won't lie. One we should get pretty soon to look at all those cover stories and do a recording of it because I feel like the cover stories might be even more interesting than what's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to get into it.
Yeah, because yeah, and we might even try to get our cat and Starhide Lucas because he's been spitting us on VC with it, and yeah. But so listen, to our great listeners, and listen to this great scoop, or should we call this big scoop?
Another
If you
big
have got
scoop,
some
man.
points, some stuff you guys want to go further, and also like we're doing in this format, but we're also thinking of doing some theories based off some other discussions. So if there's any points that you guys want to go us deeper, we might even do a new recording and drop it throughout the week if you need. If there's some points that we can much go deeper, because I won't lie, Nak and I have just summarized everything, but we could do a recording for every point that we've done. Especially
Absolutely.
Nak.
Yeah,
The illusion with
absolutely.
Nak, yeah, Nak can spit for like you get a 1 hour of content. You just get 1 hour content, which is
Yeah,
fun, And that's why and that's the beauty of it. We disagree, but even on the stuff I disagree, like I agree.
it's
It's
all
weird
on
that it's always on.
the beauty of One
It's
Piece, man.
always yeah, always in the perspective of Nami. So yeah.
Yeah, and I had a great time. Appreciate being back for another chat, getting another scoop from the world famous. Yeah, if you guys want to see any of my content, check me out over on my channel called Knack Reacts. I'm watching JJK currently, and pleasure as usual, man. This has been a great chapter, and I'm excited for Elbaf.
Yeah, man. Me too. All roads lead to Elbath.
Hey, oh. Thanks, guys, for watching.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. See ya.
Bye.